Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We are less than 2 hours away from the announcement UNC football fans have anticipated. We are live in Chapel Hill with the excitement as Bill Belichick prepares to take the reins. Also, it is day 4 in the trial of a downtown Raleigh supermarket owner charged with killing a customer. The state's case has been all about forensics, the new evidence we are seeing in the courtroom. And we now know the name of the man charged with a hit and run involving a Raleigh police officer. The list of charges he faces. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan, and we have been all over this story right from the start. On Monday, we reported Belichick was in talks with Chancellor Lee Roberts. Tuesday, we told you UNC had offered Belichick the job. Yesterday, sources confirmed to WRAL UNC had finalized the deal with the legendary coach. Today, we're seeing meetings and press conferences, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. WRAL's Monica Casey was in the room as the Board of Trustees announced their approval. Monica, this is historic for the university.
That's right, Jeff. This Board of Trustees meeting checks another box in the hiring of Bill Belichick. We have been reporting this board's approval of the contract is necessary to confirm that Belichick gets this job as the contract currently stands. They met over here in the South Building starting at 9 a.m. this morning. They went into closed session for about 30 minutes to discuss, and then they announced their approval.
Proposed terms and conditions of prospective university employment for 2 head coaches, the men's football coach and the women's soccer coach. That concludes our business for today. Without objection, we will now stand adjourned.
Now, one big question here, what are all the details in that contract? What we know right now is that Belichick agreed to a 5-year deal, but the details won't come out until the Board of Governors, which oversees the entire UNC system, approves this contract. That board meets at 3:30 this afternoon. The Athletic is reporting that this is a $50 million deal. Former coach Mack Brown was making $5 million, so this is a significant increase. Now, before that meeting at 3:30 of the Board of Governors, we will hear from Bill Belichick. We'll hear from Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham and Chancellor Lee Roberts in a press conference that is happening at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Live at UNC, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
I'm Brett Neese here in the WRAL Live Center, and we have our first pictures of Bill Belichick in Chapel Hill. Take a look at this. This is UNC football's Twitter that just put these pictures out just a few moments ago. The first few pictures of him in action right there in Chapel Hill. And it is coming on the heels of that report that Monica just talked about, of that agreement by the Board of Trustees, and we will hear from Chapel Bill this afternoon.
Big smiles there. You don't always get that from him. And it brings us to today's megaphone question. Do you think UNC can win a national championship under Bill Belichick? Will he take them to the promised land? Share your voice right now by scanning the QR code on your screen or head to WRAL.com/yourvoice. We'll share the results before the end of this newscast.
We have in-depth coverage of the UNC coaching decision right now on WRAL.com, WRAL News Plus, and in the WRAL News app. Be sure to tune in or log in at 2 p.m. for the official introduction. We also have a timeline of events since Mack Brown's firing. What could be included in UNC's offer to Belichick, as well as the history of UNC football coaches. You will find it all on WRAL.com.
A guilty plea from a Cary man accused of threatening to kill children at a child care center, as well as federal officials. Noah Klein here now with the deal. Comes 13 months, Noah, after he was arrested.
Jeff, this plea deal came down only after Kevin Douglas was deemed competent to stand trial following a psychiatric evaluation while in federal prison. Kevin Douglas was arrested at a Cary motel back in November of last year after sending threatening messages to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In that rambling message, Douglas said he was going to kill Mexican children at a nearby child care center. He was later indicted on additional charges for sending electronic threats to President Joe Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, former First Lady Michelle Obama, and former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy. Douglas pleaded guilty to 1 count of communicating threats related to that child care center. The other 4 charges will be dismissing at sentencing. Right now, that's scheduled to happen come March.
I'm Brett Neese here in the WRAL Live Center again with some breaking news with the North Carolina Department of Adult Correction. They are set to make a lot of changes to the way they transport prisoners to and from hospital systems. This all comes on the heels of the capture of convicted murderer Ramon Alston. This all happening back in August. You'll remember Alston escaped from prison custody whenever he was taken to UNC Hospital's Hillsborough campus. And then it was several days before several law enforcement agencies came together and were able to recapture Alston. Some of the changes that they are going to be making to their different policies include reducing the number of outside prison medical trips for prisoners by building the capacity to provide more specialty services inside the prison system, along with a number of other changes, including apparel that certain offenders will have to wear when they make those trips.
All right, Brett, thank you. A Raleigh police officer is recovering after an early morning crash. It all happened near Brentwood and Raleigh Boulevard before sunrise. WRAL's Sean Gallagher is there. And Sean, we know the driver that ran into the police cruiser ran from the scene.
Yeah, that's right, Renee. And police do say that they did catch that man. I'll have more on him in a second, but take a look here at this intersection right here behind me, acting just as normal. Also pretty loud right now as that car goes by, but you can still see there are pieces from this violent crash scattered throughout the roadway. But really, all of this could have been avoided because the man police say is responsible should have never been on the road. Now, this is the guy they arrested, 35-year-old Nicholas Leitner. He's charged with felony hit and run and 4 other misdemeanors related to this crash. And it's far from his first traffic-related violation. I found he was cited at least 61 times since 2008, 15 of those for speeding, 14 times with a revoked license, and 9 times for running a red light, including today. And now his first felony hit and run violation. RPD says Leitner blew this red light and ran into the officer's squad car, and then caught on fire. That officer was responding to a disturbance around 3:45 this morning, and police say the officer was transported to the hospital with minor injuries. But it's really amazing that this crash wasn't any worse when you hear from the first responders on the scene.
The suspect is on fire. It's going to be a jump and run. The suspect is left running on Brentwood, going towards hospital.
We've got one officer that's been involved in an accident. PD's getting his uniform off of him right now. Our primary patient is going to be RPD.
And that officer was taken to the hospital with minor injuries, but I just got an email from RPD saying that he was released from the hospital, so he should be going home very shortly. In Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
Now to the Wake County Courthouse, where prosecutors in the murder trial of Tazir Zarqa called several witnesses to the stand. We have seen dozens of crime scene photos of inside Taz's supermarket in April of 2023. We are also seeing new pictures of the 4-inch pocket knife that was used in the stabbing. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is in the courtroom, and she'll have a live report for us in our next half hour.
President-elect Donald Trump has another title this afternoon, Time Magazine's Person of the Year. Trump's selection mirrors his first recognition in 2016. That's when Time named him Person of the Year after his unexpected presidential victory. The title has been granted to a wide array of people, from heads of state and activists to brutal authoritarian leaders. President Joe Biden issues a historic number of commutations and pardons. President Biden commuted about 1,500 prison sentences of people in home confinement since the COVID-19 pandemic and pardoned 39 people convicted of nonviolent crimes. It's the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. Biden says he plans to review more clemency petitions in the next few weeks, which includes several people on federal death row.
A man Governor Roy Cooper pardoned last month reached a multi-million-dollar settlement with the Pitt County town of Winterville. Pastor Darren Carmen spent 8 years in prison after being wrongfully convicted of robbing a gas station. Details later emerged of misconduct by police and prosecutors. Well, after being released from prison, he sued the city for framing him. Today, Winterville agreed to settle that lawsuit for $4.4 million. 2.6 million Stanley mugs are being recalled after dozens of people say a defect led to them being burned. The Consumer Product Safety Commission recalled Stanley Switchback and Trigger Action travel mugs today. The problem is the lids can detach when exposed to heat, and 38 people say it happened to them. they were burned when the hot drink in the mugs spilled on them. Customers should stop using the mug and contact Stanley for a free replacement lid.
Bank overdraft fees could be cut to $5 under a new rule being finalized today. Right now, people pay a typical fee of $35 each time they take out more money than they have in their checking accounts. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says some households could save $225 a year under this new rule. The rule is scheduled to take effect next October, but legal challenges could delay it.
Next at noon, an American freed in Syria. How he got there in the first place.
Also charged for sex crimes, what prosecutors say two New York real estate brokers and brothers did to women.
Plus, Chapel Bill. At 12:30, we go live to UNC's campus with the immediate impact. Elizabeth.
And the sun is bright, but the temperatures are chilly out here. You can see a bunch of people walking around in downtown Raleigh in their coats. We'll talk about how cold it gets tonight before our temperatures start to warm back up.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
And now to a story many are calling nothing short of incredible. A Missouri man found in Syria told NBC News today he spent months in a Syrian prison after crossing into the country on a pilgrimage. NBC's Matt Bradley reports from Damascus.
Travis Timmerman was reported missing in Missouri earlier this year. He was last seen in Budapest in May, and it was from there that he began his long, strange journey that ended up for months in a Syrian prison, one of the most notoriously cruel police states in the world. And I have to tell you, he said that he was well treated and well fed. He said his only complaint really to me was that he was having trouble going to the bathroom. Now, the Syrians who found him said that he was walking down the street barefoot. Now, he was taking questions from reporters, and actually at one point, people kept asking him if he wanted to talk to his family, and they promised him that they would get him to American custody. He refused both and instead said that he was comfortable there and that he would take more questions from reporters. He told me he wasn't a journalist, as had been reported by Syrians on social media, the ones who had found him. He said instead that he was a pilgrim, that he had been called by God. He said that he had crossed the border from Lebanon into Syria on foot, crossing through the woods and the mountains for 3 days and 3 nights without any food before he was discovered by a Syrian border guard. And this was months ago. Now, this is a highly unusual experience for many people who have endured imprisonment here in Syria. They've been victims of torture, of starvation, abuse, and executions. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Damascus, Syria.
Leaders in Canada are standing firm on their response if President-elect Donald Trump imposes sweeping tariffs.
Some premiers proactively identify products that their provinces produce and export to the United States, and which the U.S. relies on, and which should be considered as part of the Canadian response. This included some critical minerals and metals.
Trump has threatened to impose a 25% tax on all products entering the U.S. from Canada and Mexico. Canada is the largest foreign supplier of steel, aluminum, and uranium to the U.S. About 60% of U.S. crude oil imports into the country are also from Canada.
Two prominent New York City real estate brokers and their brother face federal charges in a sex trafficking scheme. Federal prosecutors say the trio baited, drugged, and sexually assaulted numerous women between 2010 and 2021. Investigators say Tal and Orrin Alexander and their brother Alan used their wealth and status to lure women to whom they promised travel, high-end hotel luxury rooms, and access to events. Prosecutors alleged women were sexually assaulted during those trips and events.
On numerous occasions, one or more of the defendants drugged and raped or sexually assaulted women they encountered by chance at bars, at nightclubs, social events, and dating apps. These assaults allegedly had many of the same hallmarks as the rapes that occurred at group events: isolated locations, drugged victims, force, and physical restraint.
These three brothers have faced several civil lawsuits accusing them of sexually assaulting numerous women. Representatives for the brothers deny the allegations and any wrongdoing. A grand jury has indicted the driver accused in the deadly crash that killed NHL star Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew this summer. Sean Higgins was indicted on numerous charges, including second-degree reckless vehicular homicide. In August, Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau were riding their bikes in New Jersey when investigators say Higgins crossed into their lane and hit them. Both brothers died from their injuries. Higgins' blood alcohol level was 0.87, which is well above the state's 0.08 legal limit.
It's a warning we've repeated numerous times. Turn around, don't drown. But what do you do when you're trapped in a tunnel? Heavy rains brought flooding to parts of Boston, and drivers inside the I-93 tunnel had to deal with significant water levels. Now, the DOT blamed some of the flooding on debris blocking a storm drain as well as a broken pump. Crews rescued more than a dozen children from a school bus trapped under a live wire in Connecticut. The line fell on top of the bus, trapping 13 students and the driver. Heavy rain and strong winds were moving the state at the time. Crews were moving through the state at the time. Crews cut off the power and removed the wire.
Help make the holidays warmer and brighter for our neighbors in need during WRAL's Coats for the Children campaign. You can contribute right now. Just scan the QR code on your screen to give any amount. You can help WRAL and the Salvation Army make a positive difference in our community for local children. Giving a little can always help a lot this time of year. We're getting that reminder certainly today with the chilly temperatures outside.
Right, and speaking of coats, Elizabeth is wearing hers out on the WRAL weather patio. It's chilly, even especially in the shade.
We were in the sunshine there for a little bit, but not anymore. And I'll tell you what, it does make a really big difference. We take a look behind me, and you can see the gardens looking absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's really a beautiful day. Lots of sunshine, feeling good. We had our cold front come through last night, and of course, temperatures dropped pretty steadily right behind that. So we are definitely looking at some of those colder temperatures out here for today. So we're going to end up seeing the cold weather with us, of course, for a bit. And 47 is our temperature heading out right now. We're going to hold it in the upper 40s for the next little while. And we take a look at our temperatures going forward. Temperature change is about 15 to 20 degrees colder than it was this time yesterday. And we take a look at our wind gust forecast, and our winds are gusting at about 15 miles per hour at this point, so it's not nearly as high as it was yesterday, but it is making our temperatures feel a little bit cooler, of course. We check out our weather watcher photo, and Donna Richardson sent us this beautiful photo from Wendell. Gorgeous color, of course. Our sunset may not be as pretty today as it was yesterday because we're just looking at clear skies out there. Send us your weather watcher photos. Go to WRAL.com and search weather watchers, and we would love to see what's happening in your backyard. Our normal high is 56, and we're going to keep it in the 40s today, but we're closer to normal Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we see a big warm up that happens next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Our temperatures are likely to be in the 60s. Our normal low this time of year is just above freezing, and will be pretty chilly for tomorrow morning and Saturday, even Sunday, but then a bit of a warm up again for Monday and Tuesday. So we're just going to switch that weather pattern around. How about weekend plans? I mean, it's Thursday. It's time to think about it, right? A lot of errands to run or just events you want to head out to. We're going to give a green light to both Saturday and Sunday. We changed Sunday. We had it on a yellow light, kind of a little bit of caution because it looked like we might see some rain, but our chance for rain on Sunday has really dropped. And coming up in just about half an hour, we're going to talk a little bit about why and when our next best chance for rain is likely to be. Probably be a little bit cloudy on Sunday, but it should be a fine day for being outside. Speaking of being outside, head out to the Durham Holiday Parade, or you can watch it right here. We're looking at, of course, the broadcast starting right around 10 a.m. It'll be cool when it starts at around 40 degrees and then up to almost 50 at the end of the parade. And again, we're so happy to broadcast that on WRAL. Cary Christmas Parade. We're, of course, obviously a sponsor of the Durham Parade, but the Cary Parade as well, we're a proud sponsor of. 52 degrees at 2 o'clock when the parade begins, and temperatures will hold in the low 50s through the parade. Should be a beautiful day Saturday for both parades with all that sunshine. So Saturday and Sunday, we have the Christmas parades in Durham and Cary. 54 on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, look at those warmer temperatures. We do have that slight chance of some rain on Sunday night and possibly again on Tuesday. Again, coming up, we'll take a look at the model's trend for rainfall for early next week.
Elizabeth, thanks. A $50 million contract. That's what The Athletic is reporting Bill Belichick will be under at UNC. Today on WRAL News at 4, where the university gets that money and if it will impact you as taxpayers.
And that's a wrap. Raleigh is losing 2 major festivals after next year. At 5:30, the effect money-wise this will have on the city and how leaders plan to replace it. And still ahead this noon, check your pantry. A popular granola brand is issuing a recall. The problem that could be hazardous to your health.
If you need a little more joy this holiday season, try lowering your expectations. Why psychologists say this could be the key to avoiding undue stress.
The Justice Department is asking an appeals court to reject a potential delay on banning TikTok in the U.S. TikTok and its parent company ByteDance submitted an emergency filing to temporarily block the law requiring the Chinese-based company to divest TikTok by January 19th or risk getting banned. The Justice Department says the law should not be delayed because the social media app continues to pose a national security threat. Meta says it has resolved the issue that caused a global outage for Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Threads. That outage, reports began coming in around 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Some Instagram users reported black home screens, while some WhatsApp users were unable to make video calls. Meta has not revealed the source of the disruption.
Hundreds of thousands of Fortnite players are getting refunds for some in-game purchases they made. It's part of a settlement between Epic Games and the Federal Trade Commission. Regulators say gamers were tricked into spending money on the purchases. The average payout is $114. You have until January 10th to submit a claim at the FTC website. That's ftc.gov. It appears that the granola brand Made Good was made bad. Now the company is recalling some of its products from store shelves. The FDA is pulling certain batches over the potential presence of metal. The recalled granola bars were made between January and November of this year. They were sold at major retailers such as Walmart and Amazon. Consumers can return them for a full refund.
Philadelphia Eagles are not viewed as the NFL's most valuable franchise, but it's clearly the most valuable team. The Eagles owner just sold a minority stake of his franchise for a whopping $8.3 billion. That is with a B. That's a new record. Puts that into perspective if you want to think about it this way. In 2018, the Carolina Panthers sold for $2.2 billion. Jeff Lurie bought the Eagles in 1994 for a reported $185 million. While we're discussing professional football this Sunday, WRAL and Fox 50 are your homes for NFL football. First, it's an NFL doubleheader on Fox 50 at 1 o'clock. Carolina Panthers host the Dallas Cowboys at Bank of America Stadium. And after that, at 4:25, it is a Battle of Pennsylvania where the Pittsburgh Steelers travel east to those pricey Philadelphia Eagles and play them on their home turf. And then turn it over to WRAL for Sunday Night Football. The Seattle Seahawks host the Green Bay Packers. Kickoff for that game is 8:20.
In less than 2 hours, UNC Chapel Hill will formally introduce its new head football coach. And Bill Belichick has just arrived in Chapel Hill. A live report straight ahead.
Plus, we're also staying on top of the murder trial of a Raleigh grocery store owner. The evidence on display in court today. And here, have a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen. Renee and I'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Legendary NFL coach Bill Belichick will be introduced in about 90 minutes as a college coach, North Carolina's new head football coach. Sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy is in Chapel Hill for that announcement.
Brian, what can we expect this afternoon, and when will we get more details about Belichick's contract?
Well, it's a momentous day here in Chapel Hill. Bill Belichick will be at a press conference with Chancellor Lee Roberts and Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham to be formally introduced as the next head coach at North Carolina. Not sure anyone really expected this when the season ended and Mac Brown had been fired. The contract, which we're waiting for the final details of, needs to still be approved by the UNC Board of Governors. That won't happen until 3:30. I would expect shortly after that we would find out some contract terms for Bill Belichick to be the next head coach here at UNC.
Well, we know he quickly got to work, Brian, hiring one important facet of what will be a kind of a pro-run organization here.
Yeah, late last night, even before the official announcement had been made by UNC, Mike Lombardi, he's a former NFL executive and general manager who's worked with Bill Belichick in the past. He said that he was coming to Chapel Hill to be the Tar Heels general manager. That's an important role in college football today. They're in charge of roster management, which includes transfers coming in, transfers going out. There'll be revenue sharing coming to college football next year. He'll be responsible for some of that salary cap maintenance. How much does the quarterback get? How much does the wide receiver get? So an important hire already. Bill Belichick on the ground here in Chapel Hill. He just got here, but he's already making moves to secure the future of this football program.
The business of college football now.
And thank you, Brian Murphy. And you can watch that news conference at 2 o'clock when they introduce Bill Belichick live here on WRAL.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, I'm Brett Neeson. We got our first pictures of Bill Belichick in Chapel Hill a while ago. These are from UNC's football on their X account. But now we have our first video of him showing up to Chapel Hill. Take a look.
What's up, guys?
Here you go, Coach.
Hill, and then, of course, the beat drop there by the social media team from UNC football. So many people excited about this hire, and of course, we're going to have all of that coverage coming up on our later newscasts.
Gotta love that beat drop. All right, Brett, thank you. Belichick will be formally introduced at an on-campus news conference today at 2 o'clock. You can watch the historic event live on WRAL TV, WRAL.com, and the WRAL app. The contract still has to be approved by the UNC Board of Governors, and they will be meeting at 3 p.m. Be sure to stay with WRAL for our expansive team coverage on all platforms.
It's day 4 in the trial of Tazir Zarqa, a downtown Raleigh supermarket owner charged with killing a customer who was attempting to steal a Gatorade. Zarqa is charged with stabbing Mark Garrity to death last year in his shop. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan has been in the courtroom since this case started and joins us now live this noon with those details so far.
Yeah, so right now the state is on their 9th witness, actually a Raleigh police detective who is getting ready to show a tape of his interview with Tazir Zarqa back when this crime happened in April 2023. But the bulk of this morning has been about forensic. Unfortunately, we've seen some pretty graphic and grisly photos of the victim's clothing, Mark Garrity, that was blood-drenched after the stabbing that occurred last year on Wilmington Street. And as I mentioned, let's show you some video. These are some of those crime scene photos inside of Taz's supermarket last year. Blood stains and splatters were found all over this store. 27-year-old Mark Garrity was stabbed to death in that store, and Tazir Zarqa is charged with second-degree murder. However, he's claiming self-defense. We're also seeing new pictures of the 4-inch pocket knife used in this stabbing, one that was used on Mark Garrity 3 times. We're also seeing pictures taken of Zarqa with blood on his clothing after the crime. One investigator describes what she saw as she went on to process that crime scene.
I saw droplets of what appeared to be blood on various things such as the plastic bags, the front counter, the floor appeared to have streaks, red streak marks.
All right, so we're hearing that the state is planning to arrest today. As I mentioned, Taz is charged with second-degree murder. He could face a maximum of 20 years in prison. Live in Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
Durham police arrested and charged a man in connection with the shooting that killed a man. DeMonte Lewis is facing charges, including murder. The shooting happened on Guest Road back in May. Police believe Lewis shot and killed Tricon George in the parking lot of a business. George died at the scene. Lewis is in jail without bond. A fraternity at NC State is being disbanded. Its members are left looking for new housing next semester. Emails acquired by WRAL show that 27 members living at the Delta Sigma Phi house on campus need to be out by December 22nd. The university points to 2 student conduct cases filed against the fraternity earlier this semester, violations for alcohol, university policies, and housing standards. The chapter president is appealing the ruling.
Raleigh is upgrading its sidewalks all across the city. The first project includes Brighton Road, Rawls Drive, Freeman Street, Postel Street, and Coleman Street. The second part of the project includes Oxford Road, Plainview, and Vale Street, Inglewood Lane, and Norris Street. The goal is to improve pedestrian and bicycle connectivity in Raleigh. The Wilson Police Department is hosting a toy drive to help children in the community this holiday season. The police department estimates several hundred families will line up outside the recreation center to choose a selection of gifts for children under the age of 17. To support the effort, they're holding a toy drive at Laramie Coffee House. That's tomorrow from 1 to 4.
A cemetery discovery on what was once President Andrew Jackson's plantation. The concerns about what to do with the site.
Near death, a state trooper shares his recovery after he fell off a bridge. How that happened and what saved him. Download the updated version of the WRAL News app and stay connected with the stories that matter to you. Archaeologists have discovered dozens of graves of enslaved people on a plantation owned by President Andrew Jackson. Records show Jackson bought the property called the Hermitage outside Nashville, Tennessee in 1804. He owned about 325 people across his many homes and businesses. Archaeologists found a spot near a creek about 1,000 feet away from the mansion with depressions and stones. They found the gravesite by using ground-penetrating radar so as not to disturb the remains.
Many communities that need to have a voice in this. There's especially the descendant community that needs to have a voice. And we need to take those into account and build a consensus for how this site should be treated going forward.
For now, the chief of the preservation of the Hermitage says he hopes visitors will see it as a reflective, contemplative place. Visitors can also see some of the cabins where enslaved people lived.
A state trooper in Utah has numerous reasons to be happy this holiday season. He is back at work after a near-death experience.
A miracle that day in general, just people seeing me actually go over, getting to me quickly, our helicopter being up and able to respond back.
So take you back to February when the trooper was laying down spike strips to stop a suspect who was being chased. He says the suspect swerved at him, so he jumped to get behind a barrier for safety. But he didn't realize he was 30 feet above the ground.
Grateful for it, to be able to still be here and spend time with my family. I cherish every second of it now. Work was, in my early years, was just, that's what I did. I miss stuff. I miss kids' games and stuff, and I try not to miss that anymore.
And doctors say that quick helicopter ride saved his life. 10 months and tons of rehab later, Meyer is now back to work on office duty.
There's a saying that the key to happiness is low expectations, and that's particularly true for the holidays.
Okay, so coming up, why experts say lowering your expectations can increase your joy this holiday season.
The nation is gearing up for a big celebration for the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The work going on underground to mark the occasion.
When it comes to shipping holiday packages, which company is the fastest and cheapest? 5 on your side's Keely Arthur put that question to the test and shipped 3 gifts from Raleigh to Arizona through U.S. Postal Service, UPS, and FedEx. And Keely joins us now with a sneak peek of the results.
This is a fun experiment. It involves shopping. I got to send the gifts over to my sister. And I'll give you a hint. We were very surprised by the results. We purchased 3 items at WRAL and shipped them to my sister in Scottsdale to see which one would show up first. I'm not going to tell you the answer. I'll tell you tonight at 6. But first, I'm going to give you some news you can use. Here are the shipping deadlines to know about if you want your package to arrive by Christmas Eve. For FedEx, it's December 13th. For USPS, it's December 18th. And for UPS, it varies based on your location. But in most cases, it's December 16th.
Folks like me, you can send it a little bit later, but then you got to buck up a little bit.
You do. The shipping deadlines that I just gave you, that is for the economy shipping. So if you want to get it done a little later, you can, but it's going to cost you. For example, had I waited to ship those items through FedEx on the 23rd, they would have arrived Christmas Eve. But guess this, it would have cost more than $250.
More than the price of the gift.
Much more. But WRAL is not going to approve a $250 gift.
Not going to get that past them, though. Keely, thank you. You get the full 5 on your side results. The experiment will air tonight at 6:15 on WRAL. Keely, thanks.
All right, I gotta get on it, get to the post office or FedEx. It's normal to want the holidays to be perfect, right? But setting your expectations too high could put a damper on the festivities. As we approach the holidays, we want to help you focus on reducing stress. Between picking presents and hoping you get what you asked for, it can all bring on unnecessary stress. Psychologists say going with the flow can help you stay merry and bright this season. Another way to increase your joy: decide what's important to you.
The idea is to identify what your top priority is for hosting. So maybe it's that everyone walks away remembering a wonderful time singing carols with the family. If that's your top priority, then you want to devote your time and your energy while you're hosting and preparing to host towards that goal. And maybe it matters less if maybe there's a dirty dish in the sink.
Maybe you'll have family members who will volunteer to do the dishes for you. That'd be nice. While you may not be able to completely avoid stress, experts say you should take note of triggers and then avoid them this year. Well, it is certainly feeling festive for the holidays with the cold temperatures out there. Let's get out to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner out on the WRAL weather patio with the coat on, and we're going to have that coat for a while.
Oh, yes. Tomorrow morning is going to be really chilly again, looking at temperatures in the upper 20s to right around 30, very similar to the way it felt this morning. And it's a chilly afternoon, but honestly, today is likely to be the coldest afternoon that we're going to see for a while. We take a live look here at the gardens behind me, and it's just a beautiful day, as we said before, just lots of sunshine out here. There's a little bit of a light breeze, and that is making it feel a little bit cooler, but really for our afternoon high, we're looking at around 50. It's going to feel more like mid 40s, but of course, as we get into the evening, that temperature is going to drop pretty quickly. Here's a look at the big picture. Yesterday we were dealing with a front, and you can see that front offshore now, and high pressure is moving over us. High pressure systems tend to bring dry conditions. High pressure systems have sinking air. That sinking air is compressing and drying, and so we have a dry pattern with this right now. There's a tiny little disturbance that you can see between St. Louis and Chicago. That's what we call an Alberta clipper. That's not coming anywhere near us, but it's going to dump a quick little bit of snow across parts of the mountains north of us. What we're tracking next is this system that's going to be a little bit of a bigger deal with a cold front. That'll come in this weekend, but the rain chances with this are dropping. Yesterday it was a 40% chance. Today it's a 20% chance just overnight on Sunday. So we're really not looking at much rain out of this. We will, instead of turning colder behind this front, actually turn a little bit warmer for next week. This is look at our rain chances all the way through next Monday, and again, it's a 20% chance on Sunday. I am watching Tuesday, and let me show you why. So this is a front that's likely to come through early next week. This is Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We'll roll it through and watch how most of that moisture starts to shift northward up towards, say, D.C. and New York. We'll pause it there Monday morning, and it's all north of us. But look at this band that starts to develop along this next front. By Tuesday, some of that rain could come through. We'll be watching for it closely. We definitely need the rain. Right now, we're at about 50 to 75% of normal for our viewing area. but we're also under moderate drought, so we could use the rain, certainly. We're not likely to see any rain over the weekend until maybe overnight Sunday, but if you do have plans to be outside, it's going to look fine. Temperatures in the mid-50s both days, more sunshine on Saturday than Sunday, and of course we've got both the Durham Parade and the Cary Parade. We are proud sponsors of both and broadcasting that Durham Parade. Temperatures will be fine. We do get into a slightly wetter pattern that week before Christmas and above average temperatures, and we really start that early next week. Take a look. We hit 65 on Monday, 68 on Tuesday, and 60 on Wednesday. And then it looks like, we've got the potential to stay warm, getting closer to Christmas. But it will definitely be a cool weekend with highs in the mid-50s, but we should stay dry. Back to you guys.
Elizabeth, thanks. At the top of our newscast, we posed this question. Do you think UNC can win a national championship with Bill Belichick? Well, you scanned the QR code and you weighed in. So here are the unscientific results. Let's take a look here. 25% of you said, yes, you think UNC is national championship bound under Bill. And then 75% of you said, nope.
Yeah, to be fair, no parameters on this. Like some people may think next year or ever. I mean, There's some naysayers out there for sure, but we'll continue to gather votes throughout the day and share those results during our 4 p.m. newscast later today. There is a massive renovation going on at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and we'll give you an under-the-scenes look at the multi-million-dollar exhibit under construction.
And here's a look at the winning Powerball numbers. We have 50, 13, 44, 52, 54. The Powerball is 20 and the multiplier is 2. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
What's up, guys?
Here you go, Coach.
Bill Belichick has made it to Chapel Hill. UNC's next football coach is on campus ahead of a news conference. The UNC Board of Trustees approved his contract this morning. We are expecting to hear from Belichick and Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham speak this afternoon. We will have live coverage at 2 p.m. on WRAL and WRAL.com.
A Raleigh police officer is recovering after an early morning crash. This all happened near Brentwood and Raleigh Boulevard today. Police say they've caught the man who ran from that crash scene. 35-year-old Nicholas Leitner is charged with felony hit and run and 4 misdemeanors for blowing through a red light and hitting that police officer.
It is day 4 in the trial of Tazir Zarqa, a downtown Raleigh supermarket owner charged with killing a customer who was trying to steal a Gatorade. Zarqa is charged with stabbing Mark Garrity to death last year in a store. We are hearing that the state plans to rest its case today. Zarqa is expected to take the stand in his own defense. If convicted, he would face a max of 20 years in prison. We are giving you a behind-the-scenes look at a multi-million-dollar renovation project in Washington, D.C. You've likely seen the 19-foot statue honoring the 16th president, but a transformation is taking place 40 feet below the monument, which was sealed off after its dedication in 1922. A theater, exhibits, and gift shop are being added to 15,000 square feet of cavernous space underneath the Lincoln Memorial. Crews are working to complete the project in time for the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Our pet of the day knows how to dress for these chilly afternoons. This is Breezy, an 8-year-old beauty blessed with ears of legend. She can hear you saying "aw" from all the way over at the SPCA right now. Breezy's super gentle, incredibly sweet, soft spot for snacks. She weighs about 40 pounds, a perfect fun-sized sidekick. Since she's a bit older, she's wound down just a bit, very mellow. Breezy gets along with other dogs. And you can visit spcawake.org for more information.